If someone had told me years ago that Kevin, the man who once thrived on outshining me, mocking me, and standing in my way, would one day become the person I couldn't imagine living without, I would have laughed in their face. Ours was never a friendship. It was a war. Every debate, every competition, every glance was a silent battle. We were rivals in the purest sense, each desperate to prove we were better than the other. And yet, fate has a cruel way of turning the sharpest daggers into lifelines. Somewhere between the tension and the fights, I caught glimpses of something else in his eyes. Something softer, unspoken, and terrifyingly magnetic. But back then, I refused to acknowledge it. Now, as I lie beside him, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, I can't help but wonder, did we hate each other, or were we simply too afraid to admit how much we wanted each other all along? This is not just a love story. It's a story of fire and fury, of two men who started as enemies, only to be consumed by a passion neither of us could fight forever. Kevin and I first crossed paths in college, during our sophomore year. He wasn't just confident. He was the kind of guy who walked into a room and instantly made everyone notice. Broad-shouldered, cocky smile, and eyes that dared you to challenge him. Unfortunately for me, I did, and from that moment, the rivalry began. Every class turned into a battlefield. If I raised my hand, Kevin raised his higher. If I scored an A, he scored an A+. And whenever I thought I'd finally beaten him, he found another way to remind me he was still ahead. It wasn't just competition. It was personal. And though I hated admitting it, a part of me thrived on it. Because if Kevin was pushing me, I was pushing back. What neither of us realized then was that this obsession wasn't just about winning. It was about each other. The tension grew outside the classroom, too. At parties, at the gym, even walking across campus, we always found ways to challenge each other. Friends joked about our love-hate marriage. But I rolled my eyes. Kevin wasn't someone I'd ever love. He was arrogant, smug, and infuriating. But one night, things shifted. It was during a debate competition. The auditorium buzzed with students, professors, and judges. Kevin and I ended up on opposing teams, naturally. The room seemed to vibrate with energy when we locked eyes. Our voices clashed, arguments collided, and sparks flew, more than just intellectual ones. The way his lips curved into a smirk when I faltered, the way he leaned in, voice low and sharp, as if speaking only to me, it stirred something I didn't dare acknowledge. That night, after the competition ended in a draw, I caught him staring at me across the empty hall. For the first time, there was no smirk, just silence, and eyes that seemed to ask questions neither of us had the courage to answer. Weeks passed, but that look haunted me. I found myself searching for him in the library, noticing the way his shirt clung to his chest after practice, the curve of his grin when he thought no one was watching. It was infuriating. Why was I noticing Kevin like this? The truth scared me. I told myself it was just rivalry, just adrenaline. But late at night, lying in my dorm room, I replayed our encounters like stolen memories. And in every single one, I imagined what it would feel like if the distance between us vanished. Then came the night everything changed. A storm had rolled in, dark skies, pouring rain. I was walking back from the library, soaked and shivering, when I heard his voice. Near-eyed, Kevin sat in his car, headlights cutting through the downpour. For once, his tone wasn't smug. It was gentle. I hesitated. But something in me, pride, fear, maybe both, pushed me inside. The drive was quiet at first, the sound of rain against the windshield filling the silence. Then out of nowhere, Kevin said, "You don't have to hate me, you know." I turned to him, stunned. "What makes you think I hate you?" He glanced at me, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Because if you didn't, you'd have to admit you feel something else." The words hit me like thunder. My chest tightened, my pulse racing faster than the storm outside. Did he know? Could he see through me that easily? I wanted to snap back, deny it, laugh it off. But the truth was lodged in my throat, unspoken and undeniable. We pulled up outside my dorm. For a moment, neither of us moved. The storm raged, water streaking down the glass. But inside the car, the air was thick with something heavier. And then, in the silence, his hand brushed mine on the gear shift. It was the briefest touch, accidental, or maybe not, but it sent a shiver through me that had nothing to do with the rain. I got out of the car without a word, slamming the door harder than I intended. My heart pounded, my thoughts tangled. But as I ran inside, drenched and breathless, one thing was clear. Kevin wasn't just my rival anymore. He was something else. Something dangerous. And I didn't know if I wanted to fight it or fall into it. That night, I barely slept. My skin still tingled where Kevin's hand had brushed mine, and my mind kept replaying the way he'd looked at me, like he was daring me to admit something I'd buried for years. By morning, I told myself it was nothing, just rivalry, just adrenaline. But deep down, I knew I was lying. The more I tried to ignore it, the harder it became. His presence lingered in my thoughts, in my body. And when I saw him on campus the next day, leaning against a wall, hair damp from the rain, smirk firmly back in place, it was as if nothing had happened. But when our eyes met, for a fraction of a second, the mask slipped. There was heat there, a question, and I realized this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Days turned into weeks, and the tension between us only grew sharper. The teasing was still there, but it carried a new weight. Every word, every glance, every accidental touch felt charged with something unsaid. One night, during a group project, we ended up alone in the study lounge. The clock ticked past midnight. Papers scattered across the table, and Kevin leaned back in his chair, watching me. "You work too hard," he said, his voice low. I rolled my eyes, pretending not to notice the way my heart leapt. "Better than being lazy." His grin widened. "Or maybe you're just scared to be alone with me." The air froze. I looked up, ready to snap back, but the words died in my throat when I saw the way he was staring at me. Not mocking, not challenging, but hungry. And before I could think, before I could stop myself, I leaned across the table. Our lips met in a kiss that was fierce, desperate, and years in the making. The world spun. His hand slid to the back of my neck, pulling me closer, and I melted into him with a hunger I'd never known. It wasn't rivalry anymore. It was release. Fire. We broke apart, both of us breathing hard. "Still think you hate me?" he whispered. Forehead pressed to mine. I couldn't answer. Not with words. My silence said it all. That night changed everything. We didn't tell anyone. To the outside world, we were still rivals, still pushing each other, still pretending nothing had shifted. But in private, we found stolen moments. A brush of fingers under the table, a kiss in the shadows, the thrill of almost being caught. And with every secret meeting, every late-night embrace, I realized how wrong I'd been about him. Kevin wasn't just arrogant. He wasn't just my rival. He was passionate, driven, vulnerable in ways I never expected. He challenged me, yes, but he also understood me, and I was falling for him. Hard. Of course, nothing this dangerous could stay hidden forever. Rumors started. Friends noticed the way we lingered near each other, the way arguments ended with half smiles instead of insults. The whispers grew louder, and soon we had to face the truth. One night, sitting together in his room, Kevin looked at me seriously. Are we doing this, or are we pretending forever? The question hung in the air, heavy and terrifying. Admitting it meant risking everything. Our reputations, our friendships, maybe even our futures. But denying it meant losing the one thing that finally felt real. I swallowed hard, my chest tight. "We're doing this," I said, surprising even myself. And the way his face lit up in that moment, the pure, unguarded joy, I knew I'd made the right choice. From then on, we stopped hiding. It wasn't easy. Some people didn't understand. Some mocked us. Others avoided us. But for every sideways glance, Kevin stood taller, his hand firmly in mine. And with him beside me, I felt stronger than I ever had before. Because love, real love, was worth more than pride. Looking back now, I realize our rivalry was never really about competition. It was attraction disguised as hatred, passion cloaked in denial. We weren't fighting to defeat each other. We were fighting to get closer, too stubborn to admit what we wanted. And in the end, love won. Kevin, my rival, my enemy, my obsession, became my home. My safe place. My forever.